Like this person said I did this to them when they were 4 years old. If I did break this person or this person in that way, there would have been hospital reports, and there was no hospital reports whatsoever in my case.
Now, you heard that correctly. And what is particularly frustrating about this case is the complete failure of the system to protect this child. You know, he was convicted on 5 different charges back in 2004 for doing this to a child. 5 different convictions that he has on his record. He was released on special parole, because why not, in 2012. When he was released, he then starts to date this woman who has a baby, a 4-year-old child. How supervision allowed this to happen, how the parole officers allowed this to get through their grasp is, I don't know, we don't know, who knows, but again, it's just a child. He was taking his programs on the outside, which we see so often as parole board will do. They will say, oh, why keep you locked up? We should have you take programs on the outside, always forgetting the most important factor for locking up these roaches, which is to keep the community safe. They don't seem to understand that, though. And while he's on supervision, he gets caught again. And this time they sentence him to a whopping maximum sentence of 8 years. So he's caught November 21st, 2019. He gets sentenced October 5th, 2021, up for parole already in November of 2024. And regardless of their decision, he is going to be released on June 2nd, 2027. A repeat serial offender. Make that make sense. Now I'll unpack it with more details at the end.
My name is Terry Godfrey, 284-592.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Terry Godfrey, 284-592. He is serving a sentence of 20 years, execution suspended after 8 years, and 15 years probation for a sex assault third and illegal sexual contact with a victim less than 16 years old. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of June 1st of 23. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed the following programs: Sex Offender Track 1, Alternatives to Violence, Basic and Advanced. And he's currently participating in People Empowering People, and he holds a facility job. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the high range. Mr. Godfrey, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
I feel like I should be granted parole due to my family because I haven't spent that much time with my family. I think the past 20 years of my life I've been in and out of jail. So I would like to spend the rest of my remaining days with my family.
Okay, I appreciate that information, Mr. Godfrey. So what's going to happen here today is each of us will take opportunities to ask you questions. When we are done with our questions, we will deliberate. I'm sorry, that's not right. We're going to turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate because we do have input from your victim. And then we will deliberate and then you draw the decision. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. So, Mr. Godfrey, it's my understanding that you were participating in treatment when you were violated. Is that correct? And
yes.
How far in the treatment did you get?
I was in treatment for a year.
Okay. And what did you learn during that treatment?
Back then or now?
Back then, what were you learning?
To be honest, I wasn't really paying attention.
All right. Well, that's obvious because you're back now on new charges, right?
Yeah.
And what have you learned now that you've participated in the treatment even further?
That taking accountability for my actions and the whole what the victim had to go through, I don't wish that on nobody. And what they had to deal with on an everyday basis, that in itself hurts me because I'm a part of that product that made that person feel that way.
And when you say that person, are you referring to the victim in this instant offense?
Yes.
And is it still your position that you're innocent?
No.
So what do you accept? What do you take accountability for?
For my charges.
So
For
you're
what
saying
happened.
that so you sexually assaulted this victim?
No, I didn't sexually assault this victim, but however I made this victim feel, I'm taking action for that.
And how do you think you made him feel?
How I think I made this person feel, when I was around this person, I didn't really pay attention to this person. And the person was looking for a father figure and I couldn't be that. So I could
Do you
understand.
think that there's something that you could have done or said to the victim to make them believe that they were sexually assaulted by you?
No. I mean, whatever.
So why do you think
whatever,
that they would? Go ahead.
I don't really know why this person put this charge on me or said that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I would still want to know. Because the dynamic of my case is it happened 7 years ago and there is no evidence to whatsoever. Like this person said I did this to them when they were 4 years old. If I did penetrate this person or violate this person in that way, there would have been hospital reports, and there was no hospital reports whatsoever in my case.
Okay. So, just so that you understand where we stand, Mr. Godfrey, we're not a court of law,
I
nor
understand that.
we a jury of your peers. So our jobs here today are not to determine whether or not you are innocent or guilty.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to determine whether or not we believe you are suitable to be returned into the community and maintain at liberty, following the laws, working and doing those things. That's our jobs here today. So we're not really here to discuss your innocence or your guilt. In our eyes, you were convicted of this offense. You pled guilty to this offense. And so for us, it really does say that you've done this. So that's our perspective. And my questions about accountability was you said accountability, but my questions about what you accept responsibility for was to hear whether or not you would take accountability. But that aside, let's talk about your being in treatment when you were out in the community for an underlying sexual assault. You're being around this minor child involved in this relationship with this young lady, knowing that you were prohibited from being around. So that was a poor decision too. you were on special parole and probation, right?
No. I was on probation 2012. I
Mhm.
violated probation, came
And then you
in
got
and
parole.
I got special parole. But I didn't violate my special parole. I got hit with a new charge from
That's a
7 years ago.
violation, right? But that's a violation, sir.
I understand that.
And you were not, and you also were, when you were on probation, you were not following the rules either. Right?
That was 10 years ago. I was on probation. I made not mistakes. I can't say it's mistakes. I made bad choices. That I could admit to. I made bad choices while I was on probation.
Yeah.
And I felt like 35 years probation was a life sentence. Because that's really what I had.
I know,
That's
I read that. And I've also read that you violated it intentionally so that you could get the sentence over with, but you still have
15 years
15 years.
probation. Yeah. So I'm not the person I was 10 years ago. Like sitting here and being away from the people I love and being away from being a productive member of society and living life. I look at these walls every day and I just want to be home and prove to myself that I can do better. I've been in here doing everything that I have to do.
Mhm.
And I want to prove to myself that I could do it out in the world.
So I want you to do that too. And so does the judge that gave you your sentence, because if they didn't want you to be out in the community and being a working, productive member, they would have given you a life sentence, right?
Yes, they would have.
So the issue that I have with that though is that you did not do well the last time that you were out there. You violated your probation. Now you have a new charge. It shows us you had 4 opportunities to serve this sentence that you're currently serving for the underlying stuff, I'd say. So let me backtrack that. You were serving that for a really long time. And now you've just extended it even further because of this new conviction. But there were 4 times that you were out in the community and you failed 3 of those.
Yes.
And then, you were in the treatment and not complying necessarily. And, in terms of risk to recidivity, you rate out high for new sex offense because you have the underlying. So, although I must say you have done well in the facility, you have been working, you have taken the appropriate programs, and it does sound like you really have incentive now to return to the community and make better decisions. But on paper, it really doesn't look great, and I think I'm having a hard time trying to reconcile the nature of your offenses to what you've done so far in prison. So so one is bad, one is bad,
One is bad, one is
right. And I'm trying to, weigh which one. Go ahead.
The only thing I could say about that is the path that I put myself in as far as seeking change and changing myself as a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna stop. Either I'm in jail or out of jail. I'm still gonna seek help and treatment wherever I go. Whether I get parole or not, I'm still gonna seek that.
Ultimately, it's your life. It's up to you to change the trajectory of your life based on the decisions that you make. And you're a very young man, so you still have a whole lot of life to live, but you got to do things a little differently than you have done in the past. And we want you to be successful, sir. We don't want you to fail. It's just that our job here is to determine whether or not we believe you're suitable. And I'm stuck right now. So I appreciate your speaking with me, sir. I'm going to offer my colleagues an opportunity to speak with you. Ms. Turner will be next.
Good morning, sir.
Come
Yeah,
on.
do you understand that you have a standing criminal protective order against you until the year 2070?
Yes.
Can you
Yes,
tell
I
me
do.
what you understand that means?
It means I can't be nowhere near around this person, not even in the same state, I guess. So,
That's
but
not quite accurate, but
I mean, yeah, no contact, no internet contact, no nothing. My plan is to stay as far away as this person as possible.
Mr. Godfrey, how are you feeling today?
A little nervous. I mean, this is my first time ever seeing parole. But I feel okay. Happy most times. Sad when I'm away from my family, but I mean, I wake up every day. I'm blessed with that.
Are you aware that you will need to be on the state sex offender registry for the rest of your life?
Yes, I am.
And your mom, you want to sponsor to your mom's home?
Yes,
And does she know that her address will need to be on the registry?
she knows.
So I read in the documents that you think that these charges were brought against you out of revenge.
Yes, I do. My plan coming here was not to sit here and lie to you about nothing. I want to be as truthful and as open as I can be with you. I do, because when I started dating this woman, I did tell her about my past. So she had full knowledge of my past and what I went to jail for before.
Right. But she would put her child up to these false accusations just because you wouldn't move out of state with her?
She asked me to come to Pennsylvania, and I told her no. And I don't know if she took it the wrong way, but
Seems like a pretty extreme reaction.
there's some women that could be really extreme. Not saying all of them are, but there's some. And
So in your evaluation, there was an indication that you use sex to cope with stress.
when I was young, now I use workout. I work out when I stress, I just work out or I draw or pray.
How long were you on special parole?
I was a special parole from 2018 to the end of 2019.
And describe for me your relationship with your parole officer.
I had a very good relationship with my parole officer. Everything she asked me to do, I did. I maintained the job the whole time I was on special parole. I got my own place. I completed all the programs that she put me in.
What were those?
She put me in a drug and alcohol program, and I was in the sex and treatment program.
Right. I don't have any more questions for Mr. Godfrey. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Mr. Poole?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. So, Mr. Godfrey, we're done with our questions. We're going to turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate. She is going to give a statement on behalf of the victim. We ask that you please not interrupt. You are not to rebuttal. Please be respectful. And then we'll give you opportunity. Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a statement
However, the victim who has been doing the hearing has just emailed that she would like to read her statement. So I'm going to give her a call and I'm going to allow her that opportunity. One moment.
Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am, you may begin with your statement.
Good morning, board.
Courtney.
My name is, I am the victim's mother, and I am writing this statement. But I do have some things that I would like to share seem to not be true. When I did get in this relationship with this young man, I was not aware of what his parole was. I was not aware of any of that. It was not told to me, other than I was just arrested, and it was left as that. I did not know that my children were in danger. I was home all the time. But when my son came to me with this issue, it was years later. My son has been dealing with behavioral issues since the start of elementary school. I just never knew why. When he came to me and told me what he told me, that the 2020, I believe it was, he was already a teenager, a preteen at that. So everything just hit me at once that, everything makes sense now. Everything makes sense. When he came to me, it was very left field. It was out of nowhere. And it just all made sense. It was like a hit. I got hit. I'm going to read my statement. It was a summer vacation when my son took a brave step to share his dark secret with me. My son came to me crying uncontrollably, shaking, unable to get a word out. I've never seen him so scared for his life. He told me he had something to say but didn't know how. I grabbed my son to calm him down, and he spilled it out. This event has forever changed our lives. Since the crime, my son experienced overwhelming anxiety and depression. He struggles with nightmares, fears of large crowds of men, or being around males his age. My son attempted suicide by hanging 2.5 years ago. My son is 17 years old now and still suffers and has to sleep with a nightlight. I too have been deeply affected, and we all have been seeking counseling to cope with the trauma. The impact of the offender's actions continue to affect my son and me every day. I am deeply concerned of the possibility I'm deeply concerned about the possibility of their release. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to calm down. I urge the board to consider the lasting effects of this crime on my son's life. And I'm sorry.
You're fine. It's okay. Take your time.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I can't read anymore. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I can pick up from where you left off if you like.
Please.
Okay. I just need you to mute on your end, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Since the crime, my son experienced overwhelming anxiety and depression. He struggles with nightmares, fears of large crowds of men, or being around males his age. My son attempted suicide by hanging 2.5 years ago. My son is 17 years old and still suffers and has to sleep with a nightlight. I too have been deeply affected, and we have all had to seek counseling to cope with the trauma. The impact of the offender's actions continues to affect my son and me every day. I am deeply concerned about the possibility of their release and the potential risks they pose to our other children. I urge the parole board to consider the lasting effects of this crime on my son's life when making their decision. Lastly, we are very fearful, mainly my son. We are against any early release and feel he should serve all of the time that the judge already sentenced him to. Thank you for your time. Thank you, panel.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams, and thank you to the victim's mother for having the courage to read that statement and share her experience. So at this time, sir, we are going to deliberate and we'll give you our decision. You can listen, just don't interrupt us. So I think that I shared many of my concerns with Mr. Godfrey, and I think that I was weighing how well he's done in the facility versus the nature of the crimes and his criminal history. And I think that now, after hearing from this victim, I will not be in support of his discretionary parole. And I will not re-hearing. Mr. I agree.
The sexual history here is just, we're not talking about this being a first offense. So certainly it's, yeah.
Okay. So the injury and impact to the victim, the nature and circumstance, his criminal history. I also had that he was on a special parole, but I mean,
I think poor performance on community release covers it a little better since.
All right, so we're ready with our official decision with regard to Terry Godfrey. Charlton, of the 284-592, I need to deny discretionary parole based on the injury and impact to the victim, the nature and circumstance of the offense, his criminal history, and his poor performance on community release. He will not receive a new hearing. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, Mr. Godfrey, we could not support your request for discretionary parole. Well, we couldn't support discretionary parole. We do wish you the best, sir. Will you please have the officer send in the next person? And we'll receive all of this in writing. Thank you.
This concludes the parole hearing for Terry Godfrey, number 284-592.
Thank God that they denied. Thank God, because, the case prior to this, right before this one, maybe you've seen it already. It was a man, 2 biological daughters, and they are begging. They're saying, please, please, the DA, they lied to us with the sentencing. This was not supposed to be the deal that we agreed on. He was up for parole after 2 years, and the parole board said, oh no, we'll grant you. We'll grant you. Because why? Because you'll have better programs on the outside. Meanwhile, this man gets out on the outside with his programs, his supervision, and immediately, pretty much immediately after getting released, grooms a mother with a child his desired age and starts offending. And then they give him a plea deal where he's going to get out no matter what. He's getting out June 2nd, 2027. A maximum of 8 years. Here is a repeat offender. I don't even know. Can someone tell me how is it possible that when he is out, he's allowed to date a woman with a child? Where is that supervision they talk about? Do heads roll when something like this happens? Do people get fired? Does it make the news? No, because it's just a child. This is insane. Why these type of stories are not frontline news, I do not understand. And probably because they just like to bury it under the carpet. Don't let anyone know. Low risk score, which I guarantee you he had when he was initially released. You're like, he has a low risk score. Let's not let everyone know that our score system's completely nuts. That has nothing to do with reality. I mean, here are the notes that Sir Richard has in here. He's got, what's great. It's not usually you see one conviction on a registry when there's an offense, which he has back in 2004. But it was so bad that they gave him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 convictions. 5 convictions for his January 7, 2024 conviction date. And it seems that in these convictions, if I'm reading it correctly, that there were 2 victims. There were multiple participants. They used threats and force. and it was a little child. And you know it's bad because I think he would have been, he's like 42, 43 right now, and this happened, so he would have been, I guess, like 20 or something when he did this. So, and for him to get from 2004 to 2012 more time for this sentence than he got, more time for that sentence than he's even getting now, you know it was bad. And he gets out after serving 8 years of that sentence and immediately bunks up with a woman with a child who's 4 years old. Now, on the conviction date for this, it states that he is sentenced for doing it to a 6-year-old. That's what the conviction states. And they give this plea deal. They give another plea deal because what's the big deal? It's just a child, right? And they give him a plea deal where it's clowns. They're such clowns. I'm sick and tired of their psychopathic sentencing. He's sentenced October 5th, 2021. And they give him 20 years, 20, right? Oh, 20. I'm sure that the DA explained it to the family. Don't worry, he's getting a 20-year sentence. Like, okay, 20 years. Who would have thought that immediately that within what? 3 years, less than 3 years, 2 years and a few months after that conviction, that they'd be up for parole? Because they suspend everything except for 8 years, probation for 15. He takes no accountability. Of course not. He says, oh, she wanted me to move with him. I don't know what they're saying. And then he goes, if I had done something, surely he would have gone to the hospital. And he has this smirk. He just wants to smack it off his face. Thank God they denied, because like I said, they granted the biological father just a second ago to put him through the same cycle now, so he can take programs on the outside, because obviously they can see that works. You know, any parent, of course, taking a stranger into their home needs to do all the homework in the world. You don't allow them to be with your child. And if they have a criminal record, do your homework. You need to protect your child and yourself. Make sure you understand what they're in for. But you could tell, you know, he turns on the smile, he turns on the charm. He'll get right back in with another. And the way that she called him a young man, that just makes me wonder. Like, I don't know. I can't with this anymore. You know, maybe this is something where you can put some taxpayer dollars, you know, into some like educating those around you. Like the system's not going to protect your children. You have to be the first line of defense. Who knows? Maybe he didn't have to register. Maybe because of his age, who knows what happened? It seems that there were failures, but maybe they should just say, look, Google a name. Do your homework, take the driver's license, go check the, like whatever it is, make sure the person is not on the registry. But I have no idea. How is it possible that parole supervision didn't say, what, you're living with a woman with a little baby? Wow. But the brave survivor got up. He locked him up. Who knows how many victims he saved by that brave action? Legit. But it doesn't make so much of a difference, sadly, because he is getting out no matter what on his full-term date. A repeat serial offender, caught twice. To think, if you think that he's only done it twice, you're nuts. Caught twice, and will be released soon. Thank you, Sir Richard, for the info. With that, I'll let you go.
When I did get in this relationship with this young man, I was not aware of what his parole was. I was not aware of any of that. It was not told to me, other than I was just arrested, and it was left as that. I did not know that my children were in danger. I was home all the time.
Hey, this person said I did this to them when they were 4 years old. If I did penetrate this person or violate this person in that way, there would have been hospital reports, and there was no hospital reports whatsoever in my case.
Okay.